Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Now in today's video I am going to be reviewing the brand Vieve. So it's kind of going to be a full face because Vieve at this point in time has not necessarily a complete range of makeup. Now they don't have a foundation, they don't have a mascara. There are a couple of products where I'm going to be filling in the gaps. But rest assured, I do have products from each category that they're actually offering. So I've never really talked about Vieve, I've never really featured any products by them because I'm also new to the brand. Although this brand is in existence since I would say at least 2 years by now. I actually do remember when they launched. They did not have many products that really intrigued me, and there were just a couple of products, but now this brand has really expanded their range, and also their most recent launches really triggered my interest, especially that Ninetease collection that she launched. Oh my gosh. When I saw the palette, when I saw the lipstick, all inspired by Ninetease makeup, I was all in. And I made a jump and I bought a bunch of products, and I really wanted to feature them in today's video, put them all on my face, and also review them for you guys. And I also want to mention real quick that the founder of Vieve is no other than beautiful Genevieve. She is a Scottish makeup artist and also a fellow YouTube creator. She really does live and breathe makeup. And I appreciate that. I always appreciate makeup brands that were actually founded by makeup artists because they really know the game. What I also really love about this brand is the fact that they are 100% vegan, 100% cruelty-free, and they do actually offer refills. So most of the packaging is actually refillable, which I always appreciate. So just right before we are going to jump into the video, just in case you are new here or in case you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could. And if you do enjoy this review and if you find it helpful, why not give it a big thumbs up? That would be very much appreciated as well. Since I don't have each and every product by the brand that they have released, in case I don't have something and you really want to see it, or in case it's really good and you've tried out Vieve, I'm always really intrigued to hear about your recommendations and your experience with the makeup. Do we share the same opinion or not? Just drop me a comment down below. I'm always really happy to read them. I am definitely really excited to be reviewing these products today and create this like grungy glam 90s makeup look with y'all. But yeah, without no further ado, let's just go ahead and review the very first product by this brand. So I'm not completely barefaced as per usual. I've already applied a primer and a foundation. Now Vieve actually does carry a primer, however it's a glowy primer, so I did not pick that one up because I know I won't get any use out of it. As you may know by now, I really do prefer a mattifying or a blurring primer, so a glowy primer to me is just no use. I'm not going to be reaching for it, so I thought I'm going to pass on that. However, in case you are interested, it's called Skin Nova and it retails for $37. So instead of the Skin Nova, I've actually applied my Glowish Blur Jam by Huda Beauty. I really love this primer so much. And then in terms of foundation, because Vieve also does not carry a foundation just yet, I actually used the Kosas Revealer Skin Improving Foundation SPF 25. So I used this foundation in particular because it's a little bit more of a natural finish. This has a little bit more of a radiant finish, so I thought I would be using this today in order to show you how much the powder can actually set my face and take the shine down. But first we are going to actually use the concealer. Now that's also the reason why I have not built this foundation up to its full potential, because I do want to use the concealer on top of this foundation and just spot conceal a little bit, and especially around my eyes we are going to be using the concealer. So this is the Modern Radiance Concealer and this retails for $29. So here it is, the Vieve concealer. It's a really lovely packaging, and I'm under the impression that you're actually going to get a lot of product. Yeah, you're going to get 13 milliliters. That's really good considering the price point. If we would compare this to the Kosas Revealer concealer, this only has 6 milliliters of product, and I think it's around the same price point, if not more. So that's a really good deal for this concealer. This also comes in 20 different shades. It's a really great inclusive shade range, and they also cater to different undertones. So I actually have this in the shade Light 5, which has a cool pink undertone. Now this is actually described as a medium to full customizable coverage concealer infused with hydrating hyaluronic acid and phyto radiance complex. I was really surprised when I used this the very first time around at how much coverage this actually delivers. So the only thing that I don't completely agree on is the fact that they are saying that this is a radiant sort of finish. It's not as luminous or radiant as described. Also, the texture here is really thick. And, you know, it's not runny, it's not liquidy. The texture here really lends itself for people who are looking for spot concealing. Really good for that. I mean, it has a lot of coverage too. For my under eyes, I still prefer my Lawless Conceal the Deal concealer. You know, nothing is gonna beat that. It's not as hydrating for your under eyes, especially if you are powdering this down too. I feel like you may get a little bit of creasing. I mean, the creasing on me was not major. So let's actually apply this together. As I said, I have this in the shade Light 5. It's a really, really perfect shade match. I'm so glad I picked up the right shade. So this comes with the doe foot, and you'll see it's like a really thick texture here. So I'm gonna apply it on my under eyes first, and also on some spots maybe around here a little bit, and on my chin, in the center of my nose, and also in the center of my forehead. So let's go for this. Now, I honestly prefer using a sponge with most of my concealers. You can also blend this out with a brush. Now, I always prefer using a sponge, depending on the concealer, but this one works great with a dampened sponge, so let's blend it out. So as you may be able to see, this is really full coverage. Like, I feel like it has so much coverage. I really enjoy that. I mean, the concealer blends out beautifully. It's not that radiant though. I feel like it's a little bit radiant, but not to an extreme, you know. So it's actually a really perfect concealer, and for the amount that you're getting, for the price point, it's really working. Alright, you guys, so let's actually powder down my face, because I picked up their setting powder, and this is a product that I really came to truly appreciate. So this is their Modern Powder Perfector, and this retails for $38. This packaging, wow, it's so stunning. I really do have to say, her packaging is like really stunning. And also what I love about this is the fact that this is actually a refillable case. So once you've emptied it, you can actually buy a refill pan and then pop it in, and you know, you don't have to get rid of the outer packaging, which is really great. So I really do enjoy that. So here it is, the powder. It's a pressed powder, and this is the shade Light. Now they have this in 4 different shades, and I also have to say this is quite mattifying without being cakey. So it's like a perfect setting powder for my skin in particular. So on the website they are also claiming it has a natural matte finish. It's a really beautiful finish, infused with hydrating hyaluronic acid and vegan collagen amino acids, light as air, weightless formula. Definitely, I could not agree with this more. It's such a stunning powder. Also a little bit blurring, a little bit perfecting, really stunning. So I'm gonna just set my face on one side first, and then we're gonna do the comparison to the unset side of my face. You really don't need that much of this powder to completely set your base products, and it's really also kind of like blurring, and I feel like it does not really give you that much of like pigmentation. So it's more like a setting powder, you know. It's not like a powder foundation that has a lot of like coverage. It's so finely milled, it's so beautiful, and you can see how well this has perfected and really set my face. And this is really the finish that I also love, when the powder, you know, really just melts in all of your products, sets your base, and, you know, kind of eliminates all of the shine. So let's also set the other side of my face. This powder is super blurring. I think it's because this does contain some dimethicone. Now it's a mica-based powder. This actually does not contain any talc in it. It does have magnesium myristate, which is actually an alternative to talcum powder. So it's not talc, but it has that ingredient in it, which is kind of nice. I really like it. It gives you a soft focus finish, blurs out your pores, it sets your makeup, gives you more of like a matte finish without being cakey. I mean, this is such a winner. So those were the two products that I had for the base. So let's actually move on to some complexion colors. So let's actually start off with the bronzer. So this is the Modern Bronzer, and this retails for $41. So this is actually a 2-pan product. So you're gonna get 2 different shades in one go. I really like these kind of bronzers. And this is also refillable. How much is the refill? So the refill on this is actually $30 for both shades, which is really okay, you know, in terms of pricing for 2 bronzers. And how much product are you actually gonna get? So one of these pans actually has 9 grams of product, which is also quite a lot. So these pans are quite large. Now, I kind of made a mistake here and I grabbed the wrong shade, because this is available in 4 different shades, so actually 8 shades in total. But yeah, I took the wrong combination here. I actually picked this one up in medium 1 and medium 2. And I feel like I should have gone with the light bronzer, because this is a little bit dark. Maybe I can pull this off during summer. And if something is a little bit deep on my skin, it tends to go a little bit patchy on me. And it's also quite hard to blend it out. And I kind of struggled with this because I felt like the shade was just a little bit off. It was very warm. This is so like warm. It's very orangey, borderline orangey, especially this shade right here. It could really be like a peach blush on me. And you know, I don't really like peach that much. I don't really like warm bronzes. I always prefer something more neutral or a little bit cooler. Maybe I'm gonna pick up a refill and give this to someone else. I will see how this is gonna be in the summer. Right now it's in the middle of winter, so I really can't make this work for the life of me. I'm gonna show you some footage actually of me applying both of these shades, because I am going to use a different shade today. I'm going to use a face palette, so I'm not going to be applying this, but I'm actually going to be applying a bronzer from a face palette that I picked up, and this is the Dimension face palette, and this retails for $49. Her packaging is so stunning, but I feel like it's a magnet for fingerprints. Just be mindful of that. It's like this type of packaging that when you touch it once, you're gonna have a little bit of fingerprints on here. This is actually the shade Dawn. They also have another shade for deeper complexions. This is for the light complexions. They also have separate blushes and separate highlighters. So they actually have single pan blushes. They are called Sunset Blush, and one of them retails for $30. And they also have powder highlighters, the Nova Glow highlighter for $38. And then they also have a liquid slash cream highlighter. It's called Skin Dew, and that one retails for $25. They also released a larger size for $52. You guys know me, I don't really like too much glow, too much dewiness. I much more prefer a powder highlighter and a powder formula. Now, she does not have any cream blushes as of right now, or a cream bronzer. So I mean, I love my powders, so we are just gonna be putting these ones on. I'm not gonna mess around with this one because I feel like it's not gonna match my eye look that I was planning to do for today. So I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna show you this right now, how orange this actually is. And I used this with the Modern Bronzer, with the one that's also too orange. I mean, I did a little bit more of a warmer look that day, so I felt comfortable actually putting that on. But this is really peachy. It's quite intense orange, you know. But, you know, if you like a good orangey, peachy sort of shade, you might really love this. It's just not up my alley that much. But we are going to be using the bronzer first. I almost feel like it has a little bit of more like yellowish, kind of grayish in there. So let's apply this onto my face. it is a little bit patchy and it's quite pigmented. That's the reason why this goes on a little bit patchy, and you really have to blend it out in order to avoid just a stamp. And also the shade leans a little bit more, I would say even like yellow, but still it gives you warmth. So it's not like a neutral cool bronzer. I feel like every time you look at the bronzer, it really comes across quite different on the skin than it looks in the pan. So that is one thing to keep in mind. It's fine, but all in all, I do prefer a little bit more rosiness in my bronzers, a little bit more coolness, so to speak. You could go overboard with this quite easily. So, you know, maybe tap off your brush a little bit. So let's actually move on to the blush shade. So I'm just gonna use this blush here because this blush intense, again, pulls so orange. So I'm gonna go in with the blush. It's a little bit more of a corally pink. And when you tap in your brush, picks up so much product too. It's really definitely more on the coral side, so a little bit of peach with pink. Again, these are a little bit more on the powdery side, so just be careful. You don't really have to put a lot of pressure on them. You can just really gently tap in your brush here, and it's going to pick up quite some product. I feel like the blushes are quite blendable though, and the blush formula is not as patchy as the bronzer formula. So let's actually put on the highlighter too. And the highlighter, this is like a really beautiful, like champagne. It's kind of like a champagne-y shade. So I'm gonna take this onto the high points of my face and also on the tip of my nose. So this highlighter is a little bit more on the subtle side, which really came to my surprise. I really thought it would be more reflective than this. You can actually build it up, you know, you can definitely intensify it. I mean, it looks really natural. I don't know what I'm thinking about this product in particular. I really like the highlighter though, although it's a little bit more subtle. I mean, you can definitely build these products up, but it's not necessarily a product where I'll be like run out and buy it. It's the best thing I've ever used, definitely not. All right, you guys, so my complexion is all done, so let's move on to the eye products. Now, I don't really have a brow product, and I don't think she actually has brow products just yet. So I'm really intrigued to know if she would ever come out with eyebrow products. But yeah, I am just gonna quickly do my eyebrows off camera, and then I'll be right back with the eyeshadow palette. Okay, so I'm back now. I basically filled in my eyebrows, and I also used an eye primer. But for my eyebrows, I actually used my beloved Artem Beauty Brow Chow and my Kosas Airbrow Gel. And then for my eye primer, I used the discontinued Otrera eyeshadow primer. It's gonna give you a little bit of a white base. So that's it for my eye prep. So let's actually move on to the highly anticipated eyeshadow palette. So this is the Ninetease eyeshadow palette, and this retails for $55. So in terms of eyeshadow palettes, they actually do have 3 different eyeshadow palettes in total. So they have the Essential eyeshadow palette. That one looks very like warm, very bronzy. It's giving me kind of summer vibes. And then they also have the Muse eyeshadow palette. That one is giving me more spring vibes, like more like purples and pinks and peach tones. But for some reason, this was the one that I vibed with the most. And oh my god, here it is. The Ninetease eyeshadow palette. This is so stunning, guys. This packaging, beautiful. It's quite a large palette. And what's inside is even more intriguing, you guys. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Wow. Isn't that a stunning like color story? This is giving me this kind of like grunge sort of cool tone grayish vibe, you know, and I really do enjoy that. I really do like a good gray eyeshadow. Now, we have to talk about this because there were a couple of things that I do want to point out when it comes to this palette. I'm going to create a look now with this. Of course, I can't use all of these shades on my eyelids today in this video, but I will post 2 or 3 more eyeshadow looks that I've done with this palette in particular after I posted this video. So if you want to see more looks with this palette, check out my shorts tab, because I'm going to be posting them as shorts videos here on YouTube, because I have tried out this palette and I've already filmed those looks. So I already know what I want to do for today. In all honesty, there are some cons when it comes to this formula in particular. But first off, let me show you the swatches. Let's start off with the pros of this palette. So the pros, definitely the color story is really up my alley. I really like these cool toned beigey grayish shades. Really stunning. And what I also love is the fact that this is huge. These pans are so large. They are so big. So you're actually gonna get so much product. I was really astonished when I saw this the very first time around. Now, when I used this the very first time, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I will be honest with you guys, I don't think that this palette is necessarily for somebody who is a beginner in eyeshadows. I think this really has a learning curve to it, and especially with the matte sort of formula. This is such a powdery eyeshadow. It's so powdery. I had my desk full of powder the very first time I used it because I tapped off my brush all the time. And I don't know what it is with this matte formula, but when you tap off your brush, like the whole thing is gonna like go flying. And I felt like, especially with this upper row, now I filmed a look with this upper row that I'm going to be posting on my shorts tab, as I said, but this upper row, it was so difficult to blend these in with each other, to actually create something that wasn't patchy, that wasn't weird looking, that would look flattering. It really looked a little bit muddy. It is a little bit more of a finicky formula, her matte shades. I'm not sure if it's my favorite formula in the world. However, I do want to say these shimmer shades are completely different. The shimmer shades are actually very buttery. They're so creamy and buttery. If you pick them up with your finger, this is such a different kind of formula than the matte formula. But you can see when I tap in my brush, there is so much fallout. So the minute I tap off this brush, it's flying. Like, look, it's just really powdery. Be aware of that. I'm gonna put the shade Skimp most likely into my inner corner section and then just blend it out slightly. Okay, so let's actually continue with the shade Face. Now, I really like this shade. This shade is actually really pretty. I really love this one. This is one of my favorite shades in the palette, to be honest. It's also quite easy to work with this. Now, I'm not going to be tapping off my brush, just so I can move on a little bit quicker, because otherwise, you know, I'd be building and building up this color forever. And they do have a lot of kickback. You gotta be careful not to blend too much, because then it's just gonna disappear. Then you have to build it back up. I would not even want to use this product without a proper eye primer. Yeah, it's just a little bit more time consuming and a little bit more finicky to work with this formula in particular, but I love this shade. This shade is actually really pretty. So I'm gonna move on from this and I'm gonna go into the shade Low Rise. It's like a grayish sort of mauvey shade. I'm just gonna focus this on my outer crease and literally onto the edge of my eye corner right here. Can you see that shadow flying up in the air? I mean, it's so powdery, this formula. Now I will have to clean up these edges later on, but these two shades, I have to say, they are some of the better shades in this palette. So before I'm going to continue with the look, I'm actually going to use my eyeliner by Victoria Beckham, her Satin Kajal liner in the shade Ash. That is such a pretty, like, muted grayish black, and I'm going to put that into my waterline. I'm gonna continue blending out the outer edges and actually deepen them up a little bit, and I'm gonna use the shade Suit. I still feel like sometimes this can go a little bit splotchy, like a little bit patchy almost, you know. But it's definitely grungy as of right now. So I feel like for my lower lash line, I kind of want to use the shade 93. I'm gonna dare to do that on my lower lash line. I'm gonna like continue with this, and I'm gonna use the shade Suit on my outer lower lash line and continue blending this a little bit. So I'm gonna be using her concealer just to clean up these edges because they're kind of driving me bananas when I look at them. Now I'm going to use this shade Acid Wash and the shade Dial Up. I'm going to stay a little bit away from VHS. I've used this in one of the shorts videos that I'm going to be publishing after this video, because this is really deep. So this is really not the way that I want to go for today. So I'm going to use the shade Acid Wash. I'm going to put that all over my lid. It's a silver, definitely a beautiful silver. So creamy. This is such a different formula. I feel like when I use my fingers, I get a much better like payoff, because once I use the brush, I feel like the brush just brushes away all the shimmer in here, but you really need to build them up. And they just don't blend out that well with a finger. Like, I feel like you almost have to do like pressing motions with your fingers, you know. Don't swipe this around too much. It's really gonna work so much better if you're actually just pressing it in slightly. I'm kind of exhausted, you guys. This palette takes a long time. It's not that easy to actually work with this. So let's actually finish the look with my favorite shade in the palette, which is, apart from the shade Face, is the shade Dial Up. So I'm gonna take that on my brush and do my inner corner highlight, also do my brow bone with this. Alright, you guys, so that's it. That's my finished eye look. In case you have this palette, you know, don't despair completely on it. Just give it a couple of tries, because the very first time maybe your eyeshadow looked really muddy. And, you know, I just could advise you to really not tap off the brush that much, to be gentle with the blending, and to also use a really good eye primer. I think that really made a difference. I've got to say, I mean, I love this color combination. The colors here are what really drew me into the palette. I'm just a little bit bummed out that I'm not the biggest fan of the formula. I really do enjoy the creamy kind of shimmer formula, but again, if you are using a brush to blend this out, you know, it's just kind of like you're gonna blend it away. I mean, it's just my opinion, you know, so I would be really intrigued to know what you guys are thinking about this palette as well. So yeah. I am going to be doing my mascara now off camera, and then I'm going to be moving on to the lip product that I've got by Vieve, but I feel like I'm going to use my Tower 28 mascara today. So I'm quickly going to do that off camera, and then I'll be right back with the lips. Alright, so my mascara is applied. So yeah, let's actually move on to the lip section. So Vieve actually has a couple of products here that I don't have. I just have one lipstick for today. So she actually has a bunch of lip liners. So I don't actually have one of the lip liners, so I might be using a different lip liner. But she also has a lip gloss, and that one is called Lip Dew, and that one retails for $21. Looks really stunning. It's kind of like a lip oil, but I heard it really feels like a gloss. I did not pick that one up. So yeah, we are left with the lipstick formula. And I do have this limited edition Modern Matte lipstick that retails for $25. Oh my gosh, this actually matches the eyeshadow. I'm really glad that these shades are not limited, but actually just the case. So if you like this shade and this one isn't available anymore, you know it exists in the normal kind of packaging. So there are 11 shades in total here. I actually picked up the shade Ninetease so that it would match the Ninetease palette. I was really surprised when I saw the lipstick because I was like, wow, this is from the same collection. It's not gonna match. Maybe it will match, I'm not sure. I've never actually used this lipstick. All of the other products I've used prior. The shade is described as a cool brown. I'm not so sure if this is really that cool. It looks more like a caramel brown to me. But yeah, let's actually use a lip liner that has a little bit more of a cool undertone here. So of course I'm gonna use my Airy Paris Acai lip pencil in the shade Pout. I should really sharpen that. I need to sharpen that lip pencil. So I'm gonna apply the lip liner real quick. Okay, so my lip liner is applied, so I'm scared that this is not gonna match. Might look a little bit off, but you know. I honestly would not combine this color with my eye look. I would use something more like cool tone purpley, but let's just go for it because it's the only shade that I've got, and yeah, let's just put it on. I like the shade. The shade is much more cool tone than I actually thought it would be, but I don't think you would like this if you have a lot of fine lines on your lips. It might accentuate them. For me, it's still fine. I actually like this color. I'm not sure if it matches 100% my eyeshadow. I mean, it looks a little bit more orange in the bullet, so it's good that it did not pull that color. I like it. I mean, I like it. Just be mindful about the formula, maybe accentuating some fine lines. But yeah, that's it. That's my final look, you guys. I feel pretty 90s. This is really like a 90s look. I mean, the color combination that I chose today is quite interesting. All of these products made up this look. So do let me know in the comments down below if you actually have tried Vieve. What are your thoughts on Vieve? How do you like this look? I mean, I kind of like it. But again, there are some pros and some cons to some of the products. I really hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And also, in case you have not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell in order to stay notified about my upcoming videos. And I shall be seeing you on here very, very soon with the next video. So please do take care. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.